Hey everyone, Lukeman here. In this video, I'm going to go over how you can rank first in your very first Year 12 exam and just smash everyone out first thing, okay? Now, this is very important because if you've just started Year 12 or you're about to start Year 12, you need to watch this video from start to end. Why? Because in Year 12, every single mark, every single percentage counts towards your final ATAR, meaning we really want to try to smash everything straight away. Okay, now that might not happen, don't get me wrong, of course things can happen, you might not do as well as you'd like, but you really want to have the intention of ranking first straight away and building that good momentum and just really destroying everyone throughout the whole year, because if you do that, you genuinely can guarantee that ATAR, okay? Now, before I get on with the video, if you're new here, my name is Lukeman and I went from being a failing student to achieving a 97 plus ATAR, becoming the Dux of my cohort and achieving a band 6 in all my subjects. And now I want to help you do the same thing and I want to help you make your own academic comeback, because if I can do it, you can do it too, okay? So let's just get started. All right, so how do you rank first in your first Year 12 exam? A lot of first there. All right, so this is the system, okay? So the system is as follows. Number one, you want to schedule it in. All right. So what do I mean by schedule it in? You want to actually mark in your calendar. You want to write down on a piece of paper. You want to put it on your whiteboard or your wall. I don't care what it is. You need to write down that you have an exam coming up. You need to write the date of the exam, what week it is, what, well, you don't really need to know what time it is, but you just need to know when the exam is, okay? Because what a lot of students do, and you might think this is not a problem, but most of the time people, when they have an exam coming up, they just have it in their brain, that's it. They're like, oh, I have an exam in 2 weeks, oh, I have an exam in 3 weeks, yep, okay, I'm just gonna make sure I do some questions and blah, blah, blah. And that's why they end up doing bad, one of the reasons, okay? So if you've gotten your exam notification, then please schedule it in your calendar. And I personally use Notion for this, okay? I had like a weekly planner. But even if you don't have an assessment notification yet, even if you don't have an exam notification yet, that is fine. Because what you can do is you can go up to your teacher and be like, hey, miss or sir, what exams do we have coming up? Do we have exams coming up this term? If they say yes, okay, great. Can you just tell me what week it is? All right, they definitely know what week it is. They might not know what day it is. For example, they might not know that it's on Thursday, but they can definitely tell you that it's in week 6 or week 5 or week whatever, all right? And you really want to know that, and you want to schedule that in, okay? So that's the first thing. Schedule it in. Might sound like a, weird point to include in this system, but it's actually very important, all right? Because when you schedule it in, you can also schedule in what you're going to do for the exam. All right, that's the first step. Next step is to understand completely. When you get an exam, or when you know an exam is upcoming, you need to really understand what the exam is. What do I mean by this? You need to understand, number one, the structure of the exam, okay? So what I mean by structure, is it multiple choice? Is it a short answer? Is it multiple choice? Is it a short answer? Is it both? How many multiple choice? How many marks, right? So, marks too. And also content. So those are the 3 things that you need to understand when it comes to exams. Okay, or your first exam. Number one, the structure. So is it multiple choice? Is it how many multiple choice? How many short answers? Number 2, the marks, obviously. And number 3, the content. Now, this one is very important, the content, okay? Now, the reason why the content is important, well, obviously, because if you study the wrong content, then that's how you end up going into an exam and being like, oh, my teacher never taught me this, right? That's your fault, because you should know what the content is. How do you know what content it is? 2 things. Number 1, the syllabus, and number 2, the teacher. Okay, so when you have an exam coming up, let's say, for example, you're doing module 5 for biology, the HSC syllabus, okay? Then you should know exactly what in module 5 is going to be assessed, okay? Now, let's say you know that the whole module 5 is going to be assessed in your first exam. Okay, you should then know what specifically will be assessed, okay? So what do I mean by that? Open up the syllabus and see what are the points, okay? So that's what you need to know. That's the second thing of the system. The second part of the system is to understand what the exam is, what content is going to be in it, everything. And if you don't know this from the exam itself, ask your teacher and use the syllabus, okay? Please do not forget this. You know what? I'm going to quickly write this here because it's so important. People forget about this all the time. Do not forget about the syllabus. So that's the second thing. So we've scheduled it in. Now we've understood what's going to happen. And number 3 is to learn all the content. Okay, so learn all the content, as the name suggests, is now that you know what content is going to be in your exam, then you want to go ahead and revise that content, okay? But you don't just want to revise the content. You want to have a cycle. And this cycle is this. You want to learn the content, and then when you learn the content, you want to do practice questions on the content, and then learn the next topic, okay? You learn, practice questions, next topic. You should keep repeating this in a circle. until you learn the topics, until you've learned all the topics that are going to be in the exam. Okay, so if you're confused, let me give you a practical example of this. Okay, let's say, for example, you have an exam that's on, I don't know, topic, let's say it's on module 5, and then module 5 has like topic 1, sorry, module 5 has topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, and topic 4. Okay, let's pretend that's going to be in your exam. Cool. So what you would do is you don't want to just learn the content. No, you want to follow the cycle that I've just outlined here. So let's use topic 1 as an example. When you revise topic 1, right? So let's say this is topic 1. You don't just want to move on to topic 2. You want to revise it, then do practice questions, then go to topic 2. Because what that ensures is that, number 1, when you revise topic 1, it actually tests that you know the content. Right? Now I made a video on this, I'll put it somewhere up here, but basically there's something called passive studying, and passive studying is where you just put information into your brain, and one of the effects of passive studying is that it makes you think you know the content. So by actually practicing and applying what you've learned, then it makes sure that you do understand what you've just learned, okay? You'll be surprised at the amount of times that you might revise topics and then be like, wow, I've done a practice question, I don't even know what to do. Okay, so that's why it's very important. Now, I did say practice questions, but I could say also just /apply. Okay, so practice questions /apply. You don't necessarily have to do practice questions. That's by far the best thing. But even just applying your knowledge, testing yourself on the content, anything that's not just reading and highlighting and writing. Okay, so you do that for each topic. Okay, so just to quickly outline that again, right? What you would do is topic 1, learn the content, practice, apply. Yep, I understand. Good. Topic 2, learn, practice questions, good. Topic 3, learn, practice questions, boom. 4, learn, practice questions, boom. And by the way, if you're in year 12, you have access to practice questions, okay? Don't give me any excuses, be like, oh, I didn't have access to practice. You do. You can find it all online, okay? And if you don't know exactly where to find them, leave a comment down below and I can give you some links, okay? Once you've learned all the content and you've done all the practice questions, the next thing you want to do is identify weaknesses, okay? What am I talking about here? Weaknesses come in 2 different colors. There's the weakness of content, and then there's the weakness of questions. Okay? So, when I say identify weaknesses, you want to identify what content you're weak on. For example, you might find topic 1 difficult. You might find topic 2 that you keep forgetting easily. And in terms of questions, I mean, you might find specifically topic 1 questions to be hard because topic 1 questions involves a lot of graphs. Or you might find specifically that questions involving a diagram are hard for you, okay? That is what I mean by identifying weaknesses. And when you find these weaknesses, you want to actually list them out. So what I want you to do is, so by the way, in terms of you asking, you might be thinking to yourself, how do I identify the weaknesses? You're going to identify the weaknesses when you do this. Okay, so when you learn topic 1, for example, and then do practice questions, during that process of practice questions, you're going to realize that, okay, topic 1 is something I struggle with. Why? Because you might be getting poor marks in the questions, you might be forgetting the content, you might just be struggling with the questions too, okay? So that's how you will recognize it. Now, when I say identify weaknesses, you want to actually make something that's called a weak topic list, okay? Weak topic list. Weak topic list is, as the name suggests, it's literally where you just have a list of all the weak topics, right? So let's say you're weak on topic 1 and topic 4 and diagram questions and then, I don't know, graph questions, okay? You actually have a list, okay? So that's the 4th step, which is identifying weaknesses. The next step is, logically, to fix the weaknesses. So how do you fix the weaknesses? Easy. What you want to do is, if it's a content weakness, you want to go back to the textbook, go back to the slides, go back to YouTube, and just refresh your mind and try to understand why you're forgetting something or why you don't understand something. So if it's in biology, if it's, let's just say biology, right? Let's say that one of the content that you're finding hard is, I don't know, DNA replication, right? Okay, write down what you don't understand about the content. Right, so let's say it's DNA replication and you just, for some reason, you just don't understand how this specific stage works. Okay, go to your teacher and just literally ask them, okay, why does this make sense? If you want to do it on your own, open up your textbook, read it again, go on YouTube, ask ChatGPT to explain things for you. There's so many ways. Again, this is a whole separate video in terms of understanding things, and that'll be made in the future, okay? So that's how you fix topic weaknesses. But in terms of fixing question weaknesses, again, the best thing to do is to just do more questions, okay? If you're finding diagram questions hard, or you're finding graph questions hard, or you're finding a specific question type or a specific topic question type hard, you just do volume, just put more questions, do more questions, and get feedback and improve each time, okay? Cool, that's fixing the weaknesses. Now, once you fix the weaknesses, you then want to do something called dedicated practice / deliberate practice. Deliberate / dedicated practice is where you practice the specific topics and things that you actually find difficult. So practice the topics you find hard, okay? So what do I mean by this? Let's say, for example, this is going to be in your upcoming exam, all right? So it's topic 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say hypothetically that you find topic 3 and 4 to be easy, but you find topic 1 and 2 to be hard, and it just like hurts your brain to even think of the topic, okay? You want to make sure that you only practice these 2 topics that you find difficult, okay? This is why it's called dedicated / deliberate practice, okay? Because you don't want to practice the questions that you know how to do already, all right? Now, I know this might be hard to do because it gives you such a big ego boost. You know, when you do questions that you know how to do, you feel on top of the world, you feel like, yeah, I've got this. But trust me, that is what causes you to walk into an exam confident and walk out crying, okay? You want to make sure you do the questions that you find hard the most, okay? And again, you have so much access to questions online, especially since you're in Year 12 now. But if you can't find them, let me know down in the comments. You should be able to find them though. Yeah, just do dedicated practice questions. And then finally, it's a seek feedback, okay? And I've even put it in brackets here, very important, okay? Now, seeking feedback, what I mean by this, I didn't mean to write this actually. It's seek feedback / reflect. That's really what I was supposed to say, because you don't need to necessarily seek feedback, but what you really need to do is reflect. What do I mean by reflect? Every single past paper exam you do, every single question you do, you need to mark yourself, and then you need to figure out why you've done bad, or why you've forgotten something, or why you took longer to answer it. The point is, you need to reflect on everything you need to improve from each past paper, from each question that you're doing. You need to improve from it, okay? So what I'd recommend you do is, once you've done let's say for example, you've done a past paper and you've done like a few questions. Let's say you've got like 3 questions wrong. Don't just be like, oh, I got it wrong, cool, let's do the next one. No, you want to sit down and you'll be like, okay, why did I get them wrong? Is it because of the content? Okay, let's go revise the content. Why did I get it wrong? Is it because I forgot the content? All right, let me refresh my mind on it. Why did I get it wrong? I didn't know how to solve it. Okay, let's figure out how to solve it. Do you get the point, right? This is what I mean by seek feedback and reflect. And then what you really want to do, and this is really dependent on the subject, but let's say, for example, if it's English, hand in your essay to your teacher and make them read it. Hand in your short answer practice questions, make them read it. Honestly, any subject, actually, apart from maths, seek feedback. Like when you do a response or a question or anything, go to your teacher and be like, can you mark this for me? Okay? Yes, you can mark it yourself, and I do have a video on how to do that, but again, a teacher will make it easier for you, okay? And yeah, that's the process, okay? This is the system to ranking first in your first assessment task, first exam, okay? So make sure you're taking notes, make sure you follow this step by step. The video's not over yet. I do want to end this video by giving you my top very important advice that you need to follow, okay? And the first advice is, please do not leave everything to the last minute, okay? A big mistake that students make is that they, after learning week 1 content, they don't touch that content again until week 8, okay? So let's say, for example, in week 1, week 1 of Year 12, you learnt about, let's say in week 1 of Year 12, you learnt about topic 1, okay? What a lot of students do is they learn about topic 1 in week 1, and then they don't touch that topic at all until what? A few days before the exam. So it's now week 7, and then they try to revise all that content that they looked at in week 1 now. That is how you end up not doing well. So you need to make sure that right now, let's say if it's week 3 in Year 12, make sure that you have a system in place to review week 1's content. Because if you just forget about week 1's content and then wait till week 8, you then have to review all of that content that you learned 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, okay? So it compounds over time. And then what happens is, if you then, for example, in week 2, let's say in week 2, you learn, let's say week 2, you learn about topic 2, Well, again, it's just going to compound. When it gets to week 7, now you're going to have to review topic 1 and topic 2, right? It's just a mess. So have a system in place that when you learn week 1 content, revise that content in, the next few days or next few weeks at least, okay? Cool, that's the first thing. Number 2, think long term, okay? This is so, so important, and it really does differentiate the top students from the failing ones, okay? If you don't do well in your first assessment task of year 12, it is not the end of the world. Okay, let's say your first exam for year 12, you end up, ranking 10th or something. Okay, don't be like, oh man, I'm not going to rank first anymore. I'm just screwed. What? You want to think long term. You have 3 other assessment tasks to do. Plus, can't spell today, plus the external exams. So my point is you can still rank first in the subject. Okay, because what happens is students that will do, the first exam of year 12, they end up doing bad. Then they've just lost all hope and they don't try anymore. But what you need to understand is that you still have the chance to get ranked first. And let me give you a practical example of this. In my English exam, okay, English HSC exam, or English HSC as a subject, my first exam put me in top 10. I came 10th in my first exam for English. Now, I had 2 options here. One, to just give up, be like, oh, screw English, even if I hate it. Or number 2, be like, okay, why did I get top 10? Let me improve for the next time. What happened? I chose the second option, and I went from getting top 10 to top 5 to top 3 to top 1, okay? So I went from rank 10 to rank first in the end, okay? But I could have easily given up at the first time, my first exam that I did, okay? Now, and this, by the way, just give you one more example. Let's say another example I can give you is for PDH, okay? So, sorry, my thing's messing up here. But let's say another one is PDH, okay? Again, I went from around, I don't remember exactly, but it was, I think, rank 10 or 9 or 8, one of them, rank 10, right? Something like that. In the end, I went up going to rank 5, and then rank 4, and then rank 2. Do you get the point, okay? So don't give up, because the truth is, in the end, that's when the rank really matters. In terms of if you rank first in a subject, in the end, no one's going to ask what you ranked in the first assessment task that you did. Okay. And number 3, very, very important, is to please work extremely hard and treat this exam like the real deal. Okay. Listen to me very carefully. I don't care if this exam is just 5% of your grade. I don't care if it's 10%, 2%, 15%. Treat the exam as if it's 100%, okay? Because what people do, and the mistake that people make, and I'll be honest with you, I made this mistake too initially, is you see an exam, it's worth 10%, and you're like, oh, the exam's just worth 10%, I'm not gonna try as hard, and then you don't end up doing as well. No, I don't want you to do that. I want you to treat every exam, whether it's 5%, 10%, 15%, as if it's 100%. Okay, because the truth is, it kind of is 100%, because every single percentage, every single assessment task, every single mark in year 12 counts towards your final ATAR. So if you treat this exam like some little game, then you're not going to do well in it. Okay, and trust me, it does compound over time. All right, so there you have it. That is how you rank first in your first year 12 exam. All right, now I'll leave the rest to you. Make sure you take action. Like, this is a proven framework. Okay, I did this and I ended up ranking first in nearly all my subjects. All right, so there's no playing around here. Take action. Now, if you are a student who is struggling, who is kind of worried about year 12 and who wants to achieve a high ATAR, then you might like the first link in the description. Of course, you don't need to click on it, it's your choice, but that's just an option for you if you want to work closer with me and if you want my direct help, okay? But that being said, you have it here, you have the system here, make sure you take action on it. And yeah, that's the video for you. If you like this video, there is a button for that. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.